There's a plant that feeds 2 billion people every single day. It grows faster than almost anything you can put in a garden. It has more iron than beef, more calcium than milk, and it's been studied in peer-reviewed research for everything from anemia to Alzheimer's prevention. And in parts of the United States, it's illegal to grow. That question, why, is going to become important in about 3 minutes. Most people in the US have never heard of this plant, never seen it at a grocery store, never grown it, never been told it exists. Meanwhile, it's a daily staple across Southeast Asia, parts of Africa and South America. It's in school lunch programs, it's fed to livestock, it grows in places where nothing else will. And the people eating it regularly, they're not buying iron supplements. Before we get to the restriction, let's talk about what this thing actually does, because that context matters. This plant is called water spinach, scientific name Ipomoea aquatica. In the Philippines, it's Kangkong. In Vietnam, rau mong. In China, it's been a food crop for over 1,000 years. But none of that history is why it's interesting. What's interesting is the growth rate, because this plant doesn't grow fast, it grows at a speed that makes experienced gardeners stop and stare. Under the right conditions, warm weather, moisture, decent light, a single cutting can triple in size within 7 days. Not a metaphor, not an exaggeration pulled from a seed catalog. 7 days. That means if you plant it on a Monday, by the following Monday, you're harvesting it and it's already growing back. Most vegetables take 60 to 90 days from seed to harvest. This one laughs at that timeline. And it regrows after you cut it. You harvest the top 6 to 8 inches. The stem stays. Within a week, new shoots. You're not replanting every cycle. One established plant becomes a continuous harvest. That's not how most vegetables work. Most vegetables are a one-time deal. Plant, wait, harvest, done. This one keeps producing as long as conditions are right. That's a fundamentally different relationship with a food crop. Let's talk about what's actually in it, because the growth rate alone would make this an interesting garden plant, but the nutritional profile is what makes it genuinely remarkable. 100 grams of raw water spinach contains roughly 2.5 milligrams of iron. That's comparable to beef from a plant. It also contains significant amounts of vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and potassium, all in a leaf that took 7 days to grow and costs almost nothing to produce. The iron content matters because iron deficiency is the most common nutritional deficiency in the world. Over 2 billion people are iron deficient right now, and most of the solutions being sold, supplements, fortified cereals, red meat, are either expensive, processed, or have their own trade-offs. A plant that grows in a bucket of water in your backyard in 7 days and delivers comparable iron to beef is not a small thing. That's a meaningful solution to a real problem. And it doesn't stop at iron. Researchers have been looking at this plant seriously for decades. There are published studies examining its potential effects on blood sugar regulation, relevant for anyone managing or at risk of type 2 diabetes. There are studies on antioxidant activity, and there's ongoing research into compounds in the plant that may have neuroprotective effects, which is why Alzheimer's researchers have taken an interest. This is not folk medicine. This is peer-reviewed science on a plant most Americans have never heard of. So here's where the story gets complicated, and this is the part that most people find genuinely hard to understand. A plant that feeds billions, regrows in a week, outperforms supplements on iron, and has active research interest from the medical community is classified as a federal noxious weed in the United States. The USDA has it on the list. Several states have their own separate restrictions on top of that. Growing it, transporting it, or even possessing it in some jurisdictions can technically be a violation. And before you say this sounds like a conspiracy, it's not. The restriction has a straightforward explanation. Water spinach, in the right conditions, becomes invasive. It grows so fast and so aggressively in warm waterways that it can outcompete native aquatic plants, reduce oxygen in waterways, and disrupt local ecosystems. Florida had significant issues with it spreading through water systems. That's real. That happened. The concern is legitimate. But here's where the frustration is reasonable. The federal classification doesn't distinguish between uncontrolled outdoor cultivation near waterways, which is genuinely risky, and a container on your back porch in a landlocked state. Those are not the same situation. A bucket of water spinach on a patio in Kansas is not going to invade Florida's waterways. But the law doesn't always make that distinction clearly. And so a plant that could meaningfully reduce food costs and supplement dependency for millions of households sits in a legal gray zone that most people never even knew existed. The recommendation here is simple. Check your state's regulations before you grow anything. Some states have no restrictions at all. Others have specific rules about proximity to waterways. A few have blanket bans. This is not hard information to find. Your state's Department of Agriculture website will have it. Grow it legally, grow it in containers, and keep it nowhere near open water or drainage systems. With those guardrails in place, you're not spreading an invasive species, you're growing a vegetable in a bucket. Now let's get to growing it, because this is where it gets genuinely satisfying. Water spinach is one of the most forgiving plants you can grow in a warm climate. It doesn't need perfect soil, it doesn't need a complicated fertilizer schedule, it doesn't need careful pH management or a greenhouse. What it needs is warmth, moisture, and light. That's the entire short list. You can start it two ways, from seed or from cuttings. Cuttings are faster and more reliable. If you can find water spinach at an Asian grocery store, and in most U.S. cities you can, those stems are often still viable. Cut a section about 6 inches long, strip the lower leaves, and place it in water or moist soil. Roots will develop within a few days. Once rooted, move it to your growing container. That's the entire propagation process. For the growing container, bigger is better, but not required. A 5-gallon bucket works perfectly for a starter plant. A large Rubbermaid tote works even better and gives you more surface area for multiple plants. Fill it with a standard potting mix. Water spinach in soil produces more leaf mass than pure hydroponic growing, though it does fine in both. The key is keeping the soil consistently moist, not soggy, not drying out between waterings. Temperature is the one requirement that actually matters. Water spinach is a tropical plant. It wants temperatures above 65 degrees Fahrenheit consistently. Below that, growth slows dramatically. Below 50, the plant starts to suffer. In most of the continental U.S., that means this is a warm season crop, spring through fall in most regions, year-round in the south. In colder climates, you can extend the season by moving containers indoors or into a greenhouse before the first frost. Sunlight, at least 4 to 6 hours of direct sun daily. More is better. Full sun produces faster, more vigorous growth and denser leaf sets. In partial shade, the plant still grows, but noticeably slower and with lighter, less nutritionally dense leaves. South-facing spots, rooftops, sunny balconies, these are ideal. The plant will tell you if it's not getting enough light. The stems will start reaching and elongating. That's not healthy growth. That's the plant searching. Feeding is simple. Water spinach is not a heavy feeder by vegetable standards. A balanced liquid fertilizer every 2 to 3 weeks keeps production high. Alternatively, and this is where it gets interesting for anyone running a backyard system, water spinach thrives on nutrient-rich water, fish tank water, duck pond runoff, compost tea. These aren't just acceptable, they actually push growth significantly beyond what synthetic fertilizer achieves. The plant evolved in nutrient-rich waterways. Give it that environment, and it performs accordingly. Harvest begins around 3 to 4 weeks after planting from a cutting. You're harvesting the top 6 to 8 inches, the tender growing tips and young leaves. These are the most nutritious and the best eating. Leave at least 2 nodes below your cut. Those nodes are where the next shoots emerge. Within 5 to 7 days in warm weather, you're harvesting again. Same plant, new growth. Keep doing this, and a single container can provide continuous greens through the entire growing season. In the kitchen, this is where most Western cooks discover a texture they weren't expecting. Water spinach has hollow stems. Not unpleasantly so. The stems are tender and cook fast. The leaves wilt quickly like regular spinach. The whole plant goes from raw to cooked in about 2 to 3 minutes over high heat. It absorbs flavor aggressively, which is why it's so prominent in stir-fry cooking. Garlic, chili, a little soy or fish sauce. That's the classic preparation. Simple, fast, good. It also works raw in salads when young and tender, blanched and served cold with dipping sauces, in soups and in noodle dishes. The flavor is mild, somewhere between spinach and watercress with a slight grassiness that disappears completely when cooked. If you've been buying spinach, arugula, or kale at the grocery store, water spinach is not a dramatic flavor departure. It's familiar enough to work in any recipe that calls for leafy greens. The difference, you grew it in a bucket in a week. For anyone running backyard poultry, chickens, ducks, geese, this is where it gets even more interesting. Water spinach is an excellent forage crop. Chickens eat it readily. Ducks especially love it. The high iron and vitamin A content translates directly into egg yolk color and nutritional quality. Fed birds produce noticeably darker, richer yolks. Water spinach, grown continuously and fed fresh, gives you a free, ongoing green supplement for your flock without buying anything extra. You can also grow it as part of an aquaponics or simple aquatic system. Water spinach in a grow bed fed by a small fish tank is one of the most productive pairings in aquaponics. The fish produce waste, the waste feeds the plants clean the water. The whole system is self-sustaining with minimal external input. People run setups like this in garages, basements, and small greenhouses through the winter. The fish provide protein, the water spinach provides continuous greens. The system costs almost nothing to maintain once established. The pest and disease pressure on water spinach is genuinely low compared to most vegetables. It doesn't attract the same pest load as brassicas or nightshades. Aphids will occasionally visit. Caterpillars can cause occasional leaf damage, but neither is catastrophic given the growth rate. By the time you notice pest damage on a leaf, the plant has already grown several more. The speed of production essentially outpaces minor pest pressure. This is a plant that doesn't need much defending. The one mistake that trips up most first-time growers, and it's a simple one, is letting the soil dry out completely between waterings. Water spinach wants consistent moisture, not waterlogged, not bone dry. If the soil dries out fully, growth stalls. The tender growing tips start to wilt and harden. The flavor gets more bitter, and recovery, while possible, sets you back several days. Check the moisture level daily in warm weather. This plant drinks fast when it's actively growing. Winter growing in cold climates is straightforward if you plan for it. Move containers inside before the first frost. A sunny south-facing window can sustain the plant through winter at a reduced growth rate. Under a basic grow light, even a cheap LED setup, growth picks back up significantly. Some growers keep a small indoor container running through winter purely as a continuous fresh green source, then move everything back outside in spring when temperatures stabilize above 65. Let's put the economics of this in real terms. A bunch of fresh spinach at the grocery store runs between $2 and $4. You get maybe 2 servings. A cutting of water spinach taken from a grocery store bunch costs you nothing extra. You already bought the greens. One cutting in a 5-gallon bucket of potting mix, call it $5 total setup cost, begins producing continuously within 3 weeks. Over a single growing season, that one container can produce dozens of harvests. The math on cost per serving becomes almost too small to calculate. And if you're growing it for nutrition specifically, for iron, for vitamin A, for the antioxidant content, the fresh homegrown version outperforms the grocery store version in one key way: time between harvest and table. Most grocery store greens are 3 to 7 days post-harvest by the time you eat them. Nutrient content in leafy greens degrades after cutting. Growing your own and harvesting an hour before dinner is not the same nutritional product as something that traveled across a supply chain to reach your plate. That gap is real and measurable. The restriction is real. The invasive risk in open waterways is real. Grow it in containers. Keep it away from open water, drainage channels, and anything that connects to a natural waterway. Check your specific state regulations before you start. That's the responsible approach, and it makes the entire conversation about whether to grow it or not a very short one. Contained on a patio, it presents essentially no ecological risk, and it solves a real food production problem at almost zero cost. The one mistake to avoid, and it's the one that gives this plant its complicated reputation, is planting it directly in the ground anywhere near water. Not in a raised bed that drains to a yard that eventually reaches a stream, not in a garden plot near a pond. In a contained vessel with no drainage pathway to open water. That single rule separates responsible growing from the scenario that created the restriction in the first place. Follow it, and you're growing a vegetable. Ignore it, and you're creating an ecological problem that affects every gardener who comes after you. Most of what gets restricted, overlooked, or forgotten in mainstream gardening culture isn't gone because it doesn't work. It's gone because it doesn't fit into a retail model. You can't sell someone a $40 bag of water spinach growing kit. There's no margin in a cutting from a grocery store and a bucket from the hardware store. The most productive food systems in the world are built on exactly this kind of overlooked simplicity. That's not a revelation, it's just a fact most people never get told. If this was useful, subscribe. There's a lot more of this here. One thing worth addressing directly: the people who say just grow regular spinach. Regular spinach is a good plant. Nobody's arguing against it. But regular spinach bolts in summer heat. It slows down in warm weather, turns bitter, and stops producing reliably the moment temperatures climb past 75 degrees. Water spinach does the exact opposite. It accelerates in heat. The two plants essentially cover opposite ends of the growing calendar. Regular spinach for spring and fall, water spinach for summer. Together, they give you leafy greens almost year-round without a greenhouse. There's also the question of what to do with more harvest than you can eat, because this plant will outproduce a small household's fresh consumption fairly quickly. Blanch it and freeze it the same way you would spinach or chard. The texture holds reasonably well frozen, and it goes directly into soups, stews, and stir-fries from frozen without thawing. You can also dehydrate it. Dried water spinach powder works as a nutrient additive to smoothies, broths, and animal feed. And as already mentioned, fresh cuttings make excellent feed for poultry, rabbits, and fish. Nothing goes to waste. Seed starting is slower than cuttings, but worth knowing. Needs consistent warmth, soil temperature above 70 degrees, to germinate reliably. Start them indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date if you're in a cold climate. Germination takes 7 to 14 days. The seedlings are slow for the first 2 weeks, and then suddenly switch into the rapid growth mode the plant is known for. Once that transition happens, you'll understand why this crop has been feeding entire populations. It stops being a seedling and becomes a machine. The broader point behind all of this is something worth sitting with for a moment. There are dozens of plants like this, highly productive, highly nutritious, low-maintenance, low-cost crops that feed significant portions of the world's population, and that most people in wealthy Western countries have never encountered because they don't appear in the retail system. Not because they're inferior, not because they're dangerous, simply because there's no commercial infrastructure built around them. Water spinach is one example. It will not be the last one covered here.